Mary says, baby steps take you all the way out up Mount Everest. Trust that if you feel expansive, expansion follows. If you feel constrictive, constriction must follow. So pushing yourself, burning out, all that, it's not going to work. Get yourself into the expansive space. Ask yourself what feels life-giving. What's an idea you can implement today? Go after it. And you don't have to do anything that makes you feel burned out. Welcome back to The Abundant Coach. Lauren here, and we are on our part 2 of taking listener questions. What are the questions you guys have? How may we help you? And today we're going to be focusing on questions that have come from people who already have a coaching business and maybe you're wanting to grow it, you're struggling. So this is going to be great. So I have several questions that I get to answer for you today, and let's dive in. So the first question is, I have a coaching business and I do have clients, but how do I attract higher quality clients who are able to pay for the services I offer? How do I attract higher quality clients who are able to pay for the services I offer? I think there's two things, and I'm going to put it in the category of, one category is mindset. The other category is messaging. I almost said messaging, which is not a word. Messaging and what that means. So I think mindset and messaging go hand in hand together, because whatever your mindset is absolutely going to influence and inform the messaging that you have. So your own mindset around this. Do you think thoughts like, oh, this is a lot of money, people are going to have a hard time affording it, this is a luxury? Do you think any of those thoughts about your own coaching business? Because if you do, think of your mindset like attractor fields. You are putting out attractor signals to that very thing that you're worried about, and the infinite is reading that as, oh, I want more of that. Mary Morrissey says the universe reads our intention by our attention. Meaning it doesn't read your intention that you wrote in your journal. It's whatever you're paying attention to, you get more of that. So in my words, what I like to say is, think of your attention like your prayer. Whatever you're paying attention to, the universe literally interprets that as, please give me more of this thing that I keep paying attention to. That's basically law of attraction at work, right? So if you keep thinking about the people who can't pay you and how hard it's going to be, and this is a luxury, and maybe I'm priced too high, and who's going to want this, blah, you're going to attract that over and over and over and over again. So that's from a mindset level. I'll just say this, stop doing that. Stop doing that. And one of the things that you can do instead from a mindset perspective is just put your mind on the people who love working with you. One of the great exercises, it sounds like you already do have clients, you're just wanting higher quality clients. If you have a high quality client, or you just even know someone that you'd love to coach, start thinking about their energy. And so when I used to have clients I loved working with, I would say, I'm so happy that I'm working with more and more clients like this person and that person and this person, so that you can start really harmonizing yourself to the person that you actually do want to be working with. But the second thing I think is your messaging. If you're talking a lot about fear, if you're talking a lot about pain, if you're talking a lot about money struggles and things like that, you are highly likely to attract people, obviously, who are having those struggles. So when you really think out your higher quality client, what do they want? What are they struggling with? They're going to have a different level of concerns. So I think that in your messaging is going to be important. Over time, I didn't have an avatar, like in the beginning, or a niche even, except my niche was people who know there's more for them. They don't know what it is, or people who know exactly what they want, but they're tired of stress and struggle to try to get it. But I will say that when I used to hold a webinar every month called Kick Fear to the Curb, I would get a lot of people who didn't have a lot to contribute financially to a coaching program, because they were people who really identified with fear. My achievers didn't identify as much with fear. They identified more with being a type A, being overwhelmed, feeling like you need to achieve, wanting to be successful, not wanting to let anybody down. Having a great job, having a great business, but still not feeling fulfilled. So that's not to say that every person who's has more to invest is going to have those same troubles, but you just want to take a look at your messaging and see, if I just look at this from a bird's eye view and pretend this isn't my coaching business and I'm just reading this for the first time, who is this going to attract? Because the problems are going to feel a little bit different, I think. So when I very first, I think what I was going to say is when I very first started my business, I didn't have a specific avatar or niche. But what I found is over time, because I have kind of a practical nature to my personality, even though I teach spiritual stuff, is that really practical, left-brained, successful women would come to me because it felt accessible to them because I was speaking their language, and then there was some spiritual stuff too. So you might decide, what is the audience I speak to looking for? So my motto became, I work with professional women who want to live a life of more freedom and more fulfillment. So that would be my suggestion for you, is like check your own mindset and then check your messaging. And if you do those two things in harmony, that's going to help you attract the clients that you really want to work with. Here's the last thing I'll say on this, then I'll move on to the next question. I don't think you should work with everybody. And I think sometimes we get ourselves into the not high quality clients role. We think, oh, someone wants to pay me, I should work with this person. And I will tell you, this has bitten me in the ass to use an expression like that many, many, many times, because I knew the person actually wasn't a great fit, but they really wanted help and they wanted to be in my program and the sob story. And I gave them a discount, or I just enrolled them at full price, but knew not that I couldn't help them, but that they would be high maintenance. Let me put it that way. And then it ended up not being successful for either one of us. And so I want you to just feel completely feel complete permission to not enroll everybody, because not everybody's going to be a fit. And if someone's having challenges with seeing they're worthy of the investment in coaching, it's not a priority for them right now. When it becomes a priority, they'll pay for it. So that's some of my advice on that question. Where do I find new clients, and what's the best way to get more clients? I will share that there are two distinct pathways that we teach here at the Institute. One is the online path to client attraction. The other is the community path to client attraction. The community path to client attraction is networking and speaking engagements and community building and review building, like maybe on Google or something like that, in your local community. So you might be the coach for Cleveland, Ohio, or you might be the coach for Miami, Florida, or you might be the coach for Grand Junction, Colorado. Okay. So you are your community's coach. When I look up a doctor, right, I'm looking in my community. And that's one way. Now, how do you get clients? I would move past the language of get clients and think about attracting or serving. Okay. Because the get energy is going to put you in a weird place. People are going to be able to feel the getting energy. And I know it's just common language. And I'm going to invite you to turn up the volume on your vibration and really think about attracting and serving. So how do you find new clients? You could go the community path, and you could go to networking events. You can go to community events. You can sponsor things. You can reach out to your warm market. You can be speaking at different people's places of business. You can be hosting workshops in your area. And that's one way to attract clients. That was the main way I built my business to the first about $500,000. Okay, the second way is the online client attraction path. Now, the online client attraction path, if you're going to go pure that path, it's going to require you to have good systems in the online back office and a funnel that helps people get to know who you are. That can be an organic social media post or a paid social media post. And you can go on podcasts, you can do online speaking engagements, things of that nature, that then gets them into your orbit and then enrolls them into a program with you. So you're either going to go community path or you're going to go online path. Now, people always say, I want to do a little bit of both. And you can do that. But let me just tell you what happens on the little bit of both path. When you try to do everything, it tends to not create a result, because I'm a little bit on social media and I have kind of a crappy funnel. And every once in a while I go over here and network, and you don't gain traction. So it's not that you won't use some elements of both client attraction methods on either path, but put like 75% on your focus on one. Okay. So that's how you attract new clients. It's either going to be online or it's going to be the in-person community path. On either path, people need to get to know you, and they can't get to know you if they're not hearing from you. That's why doing something like this podcast or putting out posts that have people get to know you, not generic, somebody else's quotes, but your message. It builds a following and then has people enrolling with you and signing up with you. What I love about the community path, and I know sometimes people say, Lauren, it seems like you're biased towards the community path. I'm biased toward it because it's more cost effective and faster in the beginning, is what I have found for most coaches. So, yes, I am biased toward it because I've just found that it's quicker. In the beginning, when you don't have a lot of money and you don't know what you're doing, it's more forgiving. Let me say it that way. But if you're someone that loves building online and is excited about it, wants to get all into the funnels and the this and the that, then absolutely do the online. All right. So that is client attraction. So when you're saying what's the best way to get more clients or attract more clients, let me just answer that very specifically and say that it's being focused and not thinking because you do something once that it doesn't work. Oh, I posted one reel and it doesn't work. Or, oh, I had one workshop and nobody showed up. Be way more committed than that. Data does not really, there's not enough data to say something works or doesn't when you've done it one time or even 10 times. Let's do it 20 or 30 times and then make some course adjustments. That would be my recommendation. Focus. When I hear a coach say, I've done it and it didn't work, and then I ask, how many times have you done it? It's usually just a few. And that's like statistically insignificant. So also know that you're going to build momentum out over time. So like, let me just tell you my income sales. So this is sales revenue, my first year of certification, second year and onward. I'm not saying this is calendar year. I'm saying certification year, sales revenue. Okay. 58,000 my first year, 140,000 my second year, 400,000 my third year, 790,000 my fourth year, a million my fifth year, and over a million my sixth year when I close my business. So I think sometimes we think we're going to post a couple times or have a couple workshops and we're going to be $500,000 coaches and that's how it's going to be. Can that happen in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities? Yes. Have a little more stick-to-itiveness than that because it's going to get easier. And you'll get to the point where you can send out one email and fill a couple spots in your program. Whereas in the beginning, it's going to feel harder than that. So just stick with it. Okay. How do you get past the bias that any spiritual stuff is airy, fairy, mumbo jumbo? How can you guarantee clients tangible results for their investment? Okay. So my very first word of advice would be stop thinking about the people who think spiritual stuff is airy fairy. If you're going to teach spiritual stuff, then the people who think it's airy fairy mumbo jumbo are not your people. Period. You've heard me maybe tell this story before where I talk about, if you think back into Galileo's day, Galileo was a scientist and he came up with an idea. And that idea, so this is like 1500s. Hold on, I'm Googling it. Let me see. Galileo. Yes, born February 15th, 1564, died 1642. Wow, lived a long time for that time. So Galileo, he was an astronomer, he was a scientist. And one of the things that he got put in jail for was saying that the earth actually moves around the sun. Up until then, it had been known science that the sun moved around the earth. And he came up with it and he was like, hey, I actually think that we're moving around the sun. And he got opposition from the Catholic Church, and he got, like put on house arrest. So why am I saying this? Because there will be people on the planet who haven't caught up to the fact yet that more and more quote unquote spiritual things are actually being proven by science. If you go into PubMed, the United States' research publications, and you just type in gratitude, mindset, prayer, meditation, all of this has scientific backing now. So what I would often say to myself is, anybody that's still saying, oh, this is just fairy mumbo jumbo, they're behind the times. They're like the people that put Galileo in jail, in my opinion. But more importantly, that's not your target audience, people who are going to fight you on spirituality. I've often heard Mary say at her events, Mary Morrissey, who it's interesting to watch people kind of battle back and say, well, I don't think this is true. She'll just say, it's totally okay for you to not think it's true. I already have success. So I don't really need to convince you that my way is the right way. I have this already. If you want it, you can come over on this side. If not, that's okay. I think that's important for all of us. Like, first of all, stop concentrating on the people who are not your ideal audience. But secondly, be okay with it. Be okay with some people think it's mumbo jumbo. But more so, get up on the research. Because if you just look around the world, more books are being published than ever before, more podcasts with research, more than ever before on how mindset and spirituality actually play a role in success. Now, how can you guarantee clients tangible results? I don't think anybody can guarantee clients tangible results, whether they're spiritual teachers or not. And here's why. If you're any kind of coach, you're handing someone a system of transformation. I know it works. I know if someone actually applies what's in our Dream Builder program that we train and certify our coaches in, they will have success. But I can't guarantee that they're going to do it. I can't make that guarantee. I can't get inside their brain and their life and make them do it. And so I don't think we can guarantee tangible results no matter what kind of coach you are. I don't care if you're a fitness coach or whatever. What you can guarantee is that if you do it, you will see changes in your life. And so I'm not going to get caught up in someone who says, will you give me a money back guarantee if my life doesn't change? No, because I don't sleep with you. I don't know what's in your brain. I am going to give you the tools to be more successful. And that I can promise all day, every day. So that would be my 2 cents on people who can't get past the airy fairy mumbo jumbo stuff. They're not your client. So you have to decide who your client is. I will share with you that I worked with very practical, not particularly spiritual women, but they were women who wanted more. And I didn't lead personally with the spiritual stuff because I do think my work is spiritual. But I am so freaking practical in the way that I describe it. Even the least spiritual person on the planet could access it because I gave them permission to call it whatever you want, but this is the invisible laws of success. And so people who weren't spiritual when they joined found themselves becoming spiritual because it was so accessible. Now, you might not want to be the kind of coach that I was. You might want to lead 100% with spirit, and this is what we're doing. And that it means that you just have to double down even more on the fact that I don't care about the people who think it's mumbo jumbo. That's not my client. That is not my client. All right, next question. How do I get over guilt around charging what I'm worth and raising my prices? How do I know how much I should charge for my services? Okay, guilt. I think women mostly feel this. I'm sure some men feel it, but us women get this. This is where this stems from, I believe. Tell me if this lands for you. We are mothers. Whether we ever have children or not, we are the feminine energy of the planet. And that is a nurturing energy. We have a womb that can grow life. Whether we choose to use it or not, we've got it. And so just sort of from a biologic standpoint, our body is created to give birth, to nurture. From a world history standpoint, women have been in the caretaking professions that don't get paid. The mothers, the caretakers, the nurses. So put all that together. And you've got a combination for this feeling that if I'm doing a nurturing profession like life coaching and I charge for it, I somehow have to feel bad about that. It's a paradigm. It's a limiting paradigm, and all of us can overcome it. One of the things that I will say is you want to be able, I'll often use the analogy like it's okay to stretch your hamstrings, but you don't want to tear your ACL, right? And so when you raise your prices, what would be a stretching of your hamstrings, but not tearing your ACL? So like when I was a brand new coach and I had a 12-week program, it felt like a stretch for me to charge $997 for a 12-week really small group program. It was like, blah, nah, I'm never going to be able to charge that much. One of the things that we want to notice is it might not be what we're ultimately going to charge, but if it feels like a stretch to us, then we know we're in the right place. If you would have said, Lauren, you should be charging $3,000 for a 12-week group, then it would have torn my ACL. I wouldn't have even been able to have a call with someone because I would have been choking on that number. So I stretched myself. I'm going to charge $997. And then here's what happened. I saw the transformation people were having. My very first paid client got a $15,000 raise within 12 weeks because of the Dream Builder program. So then I was like, dude, I need to charge more, right? So I let it show me the evidence was people are having lots of success. I also saw how much effort I put into it for not a lot of money on a weekly basis. What's $1,000 divided by 12 weeks? It's less than $100 a week. And I poured my heart and soul into every client. So you just start to see, oh, this is, I go to McDonald's and it's $30 for 2 Happy Meals. It's like, okay, what? That's not transforming my life in any way. So those are kind of some of the things that you can do to support yourself around raising the price. The value people are getting, if they apply and do the work, you'll see the result they get. You'll see the work you're putting into it. And then all of a sudden, $3,000 won't feel like tearing your ACL. It'll feel legit and it'll feel like stretching your hamstrings. But this idea that you're guilty for getting compensated for your time and expertise, you want to, Mary Morrissey would say, go after that. Don't let that simmer there. Every time you hear that, it's like, no, I'm valuable, I bring expertise, and I deserve to be paid for it. And you just say that over and over again. And because really a belief is just a thought held over time. So the other thing that I will tell you is don't treat people like they don't have the power within them to pay for what they need to pay for. Everybody has the power within them to generate income. Everybody. And if we treat them like, oh, they can't in their life circumstances, we're basically saying, we're telling them they suck. And so not everybody's going to be a fit for our coaching programs, and we're going to help the people that are, because that's business. I don't ask Target or Walmart to feel guilty that I went there to buy my apples, right? I needed something. I paid for it. People will need the service and they'll pay for it. How do I know how much I should charge for my services? You want to get yourself in a position where there's really three things. This is law of compensation as taught by Bob Proctor. The need for what you do, your ability to do it well, and the difficulty there'd be in replacing you. When you look at the need for what you do, it's interesting as a life coach because there's lots of need. That doesn't mean people are looking for it this second, necessarily, but 8 billion people, in my view, need this. It just depends on if that is a priority for them in the moment. So you can't really control the need, but you can see that people are hiring coaches left and right these days. So the need for what you do. Now, the one part you can control is your ability to do it well. And let's say you get to a point where you have 14 one-to-one clients. That's about as much as any coach can handle if you're seeing people for 45 minutes or an hour. So need for what you do, ability to do it well. Now I'm sold out. Well, my price has got to go up because I literally don't have any more hours in the day. My hours have become a hot commodity, a limited resource. And then the difficulty there'd be in replacing you. Now, I'm saying all of this to say, as you grow in the coaching world, you will become a unicorn because there's very few coaches who are professional, who keep showing up, who keep being an expert, who keep growing themselves. What I will tell you is when you're new and all of those questions, you're like, the need for what I do, I know it's there. My ability to do it well, I'm not the highest coach, but I am certified. So like, okay, I think I can give someone transformation. Difficulty there being replacing me. I think there's other coaches, so not that high. Then start looking at industry standards. If you go around and look at a bunch of different people's similar programs, what's their pricing? And then put yourself within there, as we were talking about, what feels like a stretch, but doesn't tear a hamstring, right? Doesn't tear your ACL, right? So that would be my recommendation to you. But the most important thing is anytime you feel that idea of guilt, know where it comes from biology, comes from historical stuff, comes from the thoughts you've been telling yourself over time, but you can transform and you can make a new thought. And that new thought is, I deserve to be paid, I'm valuable, and I'm going to not accept less than what I'm worth. Even if in the beginning you're charging less than other coaches just to get the confidence, that's okay. I was watching an interview recently with Martha Stewart, and someone asked her, have you ever been overpaid? She's had, licensing deals and $60 million deals and all of this stuff. And somebody asked her, have you ever been overpaid? And she looked right in their eyes and she said, never. And I loved that because I'm like, what kind of confidence to just respect yourself enough to know that you have value? So important. All right. Next question. What's the best way to make your unique gifts as a coach visible to people who don't know you yet? How do I show new audiences that I have something they need? Two things. The only person that can compete with you is you, because there's not one of you on the planet. We've trained and certified 5,000 coaches here at the Institute. I've never seen two coaches, even though they're teaching the same curriculum, have the same flavor. I can look at our coaches and go, oh, this person, they're this person, they're that, because they show up as themselves. And they're the people that you want to work with. And so the great thing is that if you can just be your authentic self, you will stand out. I know that sounds oversimplistic, but I am telling you, I watch 1 million coaches on Instagram come across my feed. They look the same, they talk the same, they've got the same message. I follow the ones who I feel like are actually authentic. Now, that doesn't mean that the people who look like everybody else and teach the same message and use the same strategies aren't making money. I'm sure they are. But I would say if you're asking this question, then I believe that just by being you, your brand of coaching, what you believe in, is going to show that. Now, to people who don't know you yet, show the best parts of who you are in your social media and your workshops in terms of your distinct personality, some of your best teaching moments, those kind of things. And paint the barn door red on your unique gifts. It's okay to say, here's my unique gift. Like, you don't have to hide it. And the second thing is, how do I show audiences I have something they need? They're only going to feel like they need it if it's painful enough if they don't have it. I always like to tell the story of, I was going to a wedding. I had an in-person event. I used to hold in-person events all the time. Had an in-person event, and then I was going straight to Toronto, Canada for a wedding. And I realized, oh my gosh, I don't have a dress to wear to the wedding. It was more of a formal dress, and I didn't fit in some of the dresses that I had. And I'm like, oh crap. So I order a dress, and then I realize it needs to be altered in order for me to actually wear it. And I've got a 1-day turnaround time. And I live in a small town. So there's only one seamstress that I know of that actually has like a professional business. So I call her and I say, I've got a sewing emergency. I'm leaving tomorrow. I've got a dress. It needs to be fixed. Is there any way that you can help me? She says, yeah, bring it in. It only took her, I tried on the dress. She sewed it in less than 5 minutes. No joke. Like, she was able to bring up the shoulders, which is what it needed, in less than 5 minutes. And she just said, no charge kind of thing, or, it's a whatever, and I said, no. And I think it would have cost like $12 if I would have, brought it in and she fixes it. And then, I Venmoed her $30. Why? I was desperate for that thing. I had a dress that needed to be fixed. And if I was going to go to this wedding, I needed it. So how do we get people to feel that way about the thing that you're selling? I knew I needed the dress because I was going to a wedding. I wouldn't know I needed a dress if I wasn't going to a wedding. Where are they going? And what do they need to get there? And how do you show them that you're the one to help them do that? So whatever the person is going through that your coaching solves, let them know that you can help them. But again, if they're not going to the wedding, if they don't have a vision, if they don't know what they want, they can't know that they need the dress. So that is your job to do. Okay, 2 more. How can I make myself stand out from other coaches? How do I make a personal brand that sets me apart? I'm like the worst person to ask this question to, because I actually don't think we need to do anything to stand out from other coaches. If I go to a networking meeting and there's 10 other coaches in that room, all I have to do is be me. With whatever you're selling, whatever your program is, whatever kind of coaching you do, be you. I know that can be such an unsatisfying answer to the person who's like, I want a strategic tip, but I'm like, be you. The more authentic you are, the more you'll set yourself apart from other coaches naturally. Like, you don't have to do something different. So your personal brand will set you apart when you're not trying. Like, that's the key. Now, you need to know yourself well enough to know what you are. I would throw it into ChatGPT. This is me when I'm my most authentic self, list it all out. This is the kind of coaching I do. Give me my personal brand back. But everything it spits back to you, you're going to know about yourself. Like, if I asked Brave Thinking Institute, what's our brand? It's positive, it's uplifting, it's transformational, it's inspiring. And you're going to see the heart in everything that's here at Brave Thinking Institute. You're going to see, when I go to Brave Thinking Institute events versus other coach industry events, it's heartfelt. It's like you can't help but feel endeared by the level of heart that's in this company. Like, put Mary Morrissey and Tony Robbins next to each other. There will be some people that are attracted to Tony Robbins. There'll be a lot of people that are attracted to Mary Morrissey. I was attracted to Mary Morrissey. She didn't have to do anything to make herself stand out in comparison other than be her. Like, does that make sense? No offense to Tony. Like, love Tony, but Mary's more my cup of tea. Did she have to do anything different than just be Mary Morrissey for me to feel more attracted to her? No. But if Mary got on stage and said, all right, let's go, we're going to walk over fire, I'd be like, that doesn't sound like Mary, right? Like, you can't manufacture a brand. You just have to know who you are and build the brand around that. What do you roll your eyes at? That's not going to be part of your brand. What do you love? That's going to be part of your brand. Do those things, and you will automatically set yourself apart. I think of my very best coaching friends, and we're very, very similar, and we teach the same thing, but still different. Mary Morrissey and Bob Proctor were the best of friends till the day that Bob made his transition. They taught pretty much the same thing. totally different brands. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, I know for some people that's an unsatisfying answer, but like freaking be authentic and you will stand out. Like that's the best descriptor I can give to you. Be true to yourself. That is your brand. All right, last question. How can I prevent burnout while running my business? Some days I feel so motivated, others I'm frustrated and exhausted. All right, if you're frustrated and exhausted, you're in push energy. If I could wave a magic wand for all of you coaches, I would invite all of you to get in an expansive state of mind before you do anything. Like, please don't push. Please don't get exhausted or burn out. That's not going to get you anywhere. When you run from push energy, what I'm calling push energy, that burnout, frustration, just cause myself to move energy, you can become successful that way. But it's going to be a very short-lived success because you're either going to get sick or get so dissatisfied that you quit or whatever it is. If you notice yourself being burnt out, that means you're turning away from your nature. You're turning away from spirit. So get yourself in a position where you feel so connected to whatever you would call spirit, life, love, God, expansion. And ask yourself from that space if there's a life-giving step for you to take in your business. And then don't do anything else. Trust that will, Mary says, baby steps take you all the way out up Mount Everest. Trust that if you feel expansive, expansion follows. If you feel constrictive, constriction must follow. So pushing yourself, burning out, all that, it's not going to work. Get yourself into the expansive space. Ask yourself what feels life-giving. What's an idea you can implement today? Go after it. And you don't have to do anything that makes you feel burnout. Also, fall in love with your calendar. You can actually have a calendar that feels good to you. If you don't like waking up early and working on your business, work from 12 to 4. Like, don't do things that don't feel good. It doesn't mean don't do things, but do them in a way that feels life-giving to you. And this kind of goes back to the question earlier. Do you want to build online or do you want to build in your community? If you love coaching online, freaking get yourself out there, do that in the hours of day that feel good to you, study it, learn how to master it from a space of, I don't have to do this. I'm choosing to be a coach. Motivation comes from thought. Some days I feel motivated, some days I don't. Okay, you're not in love enough with the goal if you don't feel motivated. But also you just need rest sometimes. Like I'm not working all day, every day. I'm going to binge watch Netflix. Right now I'm binge watching some dark series on Netflix called Yellow Jackets. I'm loving it. Super dark, but I like it. And I watch 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 episodes at a time. I don't have to be motivated every second of every day. But if you're not motivated for periods of time, look at your thinking and then notice that your goal is not motivating to you. You're not in love with it, really. All right. These were great questions, you guys. Thanks for sending them in. Hope you found value in this. I hope you really felt like not only did I learn something, but now I'm going to go apply that learning. All right. I love you guys. See you soon. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss a new upload. You can help our channel continue to grow as we invest in creating more great content for coaches. Lastly, check the description below for helpful links to the resources mentioned in this video. Thank you and have an amazing day.